I've got an exciting one for you folks here today. Range is back. It's back in a big way. Superman Kryptonite Crisis is putting it on the Dice Masters scene. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at a few of the new cards that carry the keyword, talk about some combos and ideas of how you can use them, and just generally get all excited about range. So see you in 6 seconds. Yes, hello, welcome, folks. Chris here from the Ministry of Dice, back again today with another one of my video presentation thingamadoodads. And as I mentioned in the intro there, today's video is all about the keyword range. That's right, range is back in a big way, baby. The upcoming Superman Kryptonite Crisis set has a number of characters that are going to feature the range keyword. It's the first time we'll be seeing it in a superhero-themed set. And yeah, I've been shown some new cards by WizKids. I'm here to share that which I have been shown with you and give you my gut instinct reaction and some of my first thoughts. And you should too, drop down into the comments below, and as I reveal these, type up some of your thoughts and ideas for me. Absolutely. So yeah, let's set the scene. I alluded to it just then. I think the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that up until now, the range keyword only featured on Warhammer 40,000 cards. There were characters in the Battle for Ultramar campaign box, the Orcs Wah team pack, and the Space Wolves team pack that had the range keyword. But as many of you will know, although some of you possibly don't, Warhammer 40,000 is a cancelled Dice Masters line. The Fracture of Biel-Tan never saw a release. We don't really know what's gone on behind the scenes, but the licensing agreement has fallen through for some reason or whatever. And for the foreseeable future, we'll not be seeing any more Warhammer 40,000 cards. However, that's okay, because Superman Kryptonite Crisis has come along and picked up the mantle and is taking one of the best elements, range, from the Warhammer 40k IP and bringing it into the superhero IPs for the very first time. And that kind of works for me. That kind of works. The cynic in me says that the likelihood is that there are Fracture of Biel-Tan cards that they play-tested and had game text developed for that they're now re-implementing into Superman Kryptonite Crisis, but I'm kind of cool with that because it works. There are a multitude of zappy blasty superhero characters, and when you see the battles take place in the comic books and in the cartoons and in the movies, those zappy blasty characters are always firing a few shots. There's always a fireball or a machine gun blast or a laser beam or whatever hitting the opposing forces before the kind of hand-to-hand melee of it all gets stuck into. So yeah, it works. I picture Star-Lord and Iron Man firing a few shots off at Thanos to weaken him before they try and get into it hand to hand and take the gauntlet off his wrist. Or I think of X-Men comic book battles where Cyclops is popping a few shots off before Wolverine goes in with his claws. So it works. It works, and I'm glad that a keyword that had a lot of promise and a lot of team-building opportunity is making its way into the superhero IPs. I'm also very interested to see what it means for drafting, because I think range is a really fascinating keyword in a draft context, which this set is clearly designed for in the draft pack sales format. So there you go. Now, we better make sure that everybody knows and understands what range is all about. So here's the keyword straight off the keyword webpage, the keywords definition page. An invaluable webpage, by the way, if you're a Dice Masters player. You should definitely have this one saved on your phone for those times where you come across tricky things when you're playing. I'll put a link in the description down below, but here's the long and the short of it. I'll just do the headlines. Range X. When one or more character dice with range attack, each active character die with range on both sides simultaneously deals damage equal to its range value to target opposing character die. Bit of a mouthful, but the long and the short of it is, as you declare an attack and your squad makes its way into the field zone, any characters with range will pop a shot off equal to the range value that it has at the opposing characters, bearing in mind, of course, that if there's any range on the opposite side of the field, they can fire back. So we've definitely seen it have quite a devastating effect. The real hero of range to date has been the Venerable Dreadnought, of course, the Custodian of Knowledge. This guy gave all of your active characters range, so you could attack with an army of weenies and be popping shots off all over the place and just kind of removing blockers and really getting in your opponent's face and giving them tough blocking decisions and all that kind of stuff. I've really seen it. This has been used against me. I've really seen it have devastating effect when used with this card, Seething Corruption, which says until the end of the turn, when an opposing character die takes damage, KO it. So you fire off your Seething Corruption with the Venerable Dreadnought in the field, and all your little sidekicks all suddenly become insta-KOs for opposing characters, which is obviously incredibly threatening. So yeah, and these are still modern legal, by the way, at the moment. So range still exists in modern at present. The fact that it's coming back in Kryptonite Crisis may beg questions or make people wonder, how deep is the rotation cut going to be in 2022 if one takes place? Is there an intent to remove Warhammer 40k? Just knocked my microphone. Is there an intent to remove Warhammer 40k from the legal list? I don't have any information on that. I'm just hypothesizing. I'm speculating. But yeah, there you go. So this is all still modern legal, of course, but there's more choice, more options now available in the world of range. So let's dilly-dally no further. I've done 5 minutes of talking without actually showing you any of the new cards. Right, come on, get on with it, Chris. Here we go. First one on the list, Hawkgirl, Medieval Weapons Expert. This is the rare. She's a 3-cost mask, Justice League affiliation, and just a straight up and down range 1 character. We have seen another range character prior to this, actually, which was Starfire, who's another straight up and down range character. For a 3-cost, pretty decent stats as well, 022, 133 and 144. So definitely feeling like this is one that exists in the set for the use in draft. Get yourself a cheap mask range character. She will have synergies with some other Justice League characters in set, which the range will be useful with. I'm not sure I can see this one having much life in Constructed. You'll understand why when you see some others in a minute. But definitely in a range context, just a cheap, well-statted character that can do a little bit of pingy damage to an opposing character when you attack is definitely going to have its place for sure. I had a moment's pause there because we're like, ask her. In the minute you see a mask character, you're always weighing it up for, that's a 1-cost mask when Asker's out in the field. And that's a lot of stats for 1 cost with the extra bit of range. Is there something there? I don't know, but that's just, as I said before, this is always my first gut instinct reaction. And that was my first gut instinct reaction. When I see a mask character, I always weigh it up with a 2 discount because Asker's in modern right now. But yeah, straight up and down, range 1, nice and simple, not too complicated. Good stats, decent purchase cost, good fielding costs, and an extra little bit of value with the range. I can see that having a place in draft, particularly. Because we've all been there when people are walling up with their sidekicks, and you just need to get those sidekicks out of the field to actually get some damage through in draft. So Hawkeye, Medieval Weapons Expert. Loving the artwork on that, by the way. Doesn't that look great? Once again, the artwork choices are knocking it out the park with these new sets. It's just really dynamic, got a lot of energy, and with all that gold in there, it's going to look awesome in foil. Hashtag Chris's catchphrase. Next on the list, we've got Orion, raised by Highfather. Liking the look of this one because he's the New Gods affiliation, indicating that the new set's going to maybe give the New Gods a little bit of a roster boost. This guy, of course, already exists, so he's not much of a roster boost, but still, caught my eye. 5-cost bolt, range 1, with the global pay a fist, spin target character die up 1 level. And he's 155, 166, and 288. So, not offering a great deal more than Hawkgirl, other than the fact that he's got much beefier stats. I mean, frighteningly big at his level 3 at 288. And he's got the spin-up global as well. So, you've got those big stats, but if you roll him in at the lower stats, you've got a tool to get him up to that big nasty 8-8. And with the range 1, like with Hawkgirl, it's an opportunity to ping a psychic off, get an annoying weenie out the way, and again, maybe not so much in Constructed, but certainly in Draft, that could have a place if you're able to ramp up to the 5 costs and swallow the fielding costs. So you can really see a big focus on range making an impact on the Draft gameplay here. I feel that's, I think there's a design intent at play there. But again, just awesome. Look at that. He's punching through a flaming battlefield. It's lovely dynamic, lots of energy, really makes you feel the action in the moment, and with all that fire around him, again, it's going to look really shit hot in foil in it. It's going to be amazing, that one. But he's a common as well, so in the draft context, very good chance that you'll see one floating around. And in a draft, something that can ping off a weenie blocker that's got the tools to get itself up to an 8-8 damage capacity in the stats. It's going to catch your eye when it comes round in the stack if someone's not already grabbed it. And I think for a 5 cost, that's not too much of a stretch, especially in a set where your basic actions are giving you a lot of ramp, your daily planets, your investigative journalisms, etc., etc. So one to be on the lookout for when you're passing your stacks around in your Kryptonite Crisis drafts. What's next? I can't remember. Let's have a look. Lex Luthor, Benefactor. Yeah, awesome. Only I say that awesome. I mean, he's got a bit of a downside to this card, but notice the little bit of paisley hanging around in the waistcoat there. Who doesn't love a nice bit of paisley? You know what I'm saying? Paisley is the best. We should all wear it all the time. I've got paisley underpants on right now. I think it's amazing, and I'm very pleased to see a little bit of paisley make its way into the game of Dice Masters. So there you go. But let's talk about the card. 3-cost shield, Legion of Doom affiliation. I don't think it's any surprise that Legion of Doom is in the set. I think we've seen Poison Ivy, haven't we already, with Legion of Doom? Range 2, so a little bit more punch in the range. However, when Lex Luthor attacks, your opponent gains 1 life. So there's a bit of a downside to getting a cheap range character here. He's got more capacity to remove a bigger character with his range 2, but he's got a little bit of a bonus there. This could be the new common Kate Bishop. This could be the new Bret Hitman Hart. This could be the new Vixen. 014, 115, 126. So he's not a particularly offensive character in terms of his attack stats, but he is offensive. You want to be attacking with him in the sense of the range. And I think thematically what that's acknowledging is that Lex Luthor is a guy who, some of you may have seen, he has his big purple and green battlesuit thing with laser beams and stuff on it. So an interesting one there. I think I'd be interested to see what the common and the rare look like. But notable for introducing a bit of paisley into the game of Dice Masters. Has paisley featured before? I don't think it has. I'd have noticed, but let me know in the comments below if I've missed it. So there you go, Lex Luthor Benefactor. Nice to see, of course, Lex Luthor's going to be in the set. I think that's the first Lex Luthor we've seen to date. Although it is not really a stretch in a Superman themed set that Lex Luthor is going to be a card in the set. Let's face facts. But there you go. Right, let's get into some of the really juicy stuff now. Let's check this bad boy out. Remember I showed you Venerable Dreadnought before? Well, everyone, meet Brainiac 5, the Coluan Prodigy. 5-cost mask character. 3-cost, really. While Brainiac 5 is active, your active character dice gain range 1 if they didn't already have range. And then he's got an Energize keyword as well, gain 1 life. And he's 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5, and 3, 4, 7. So, first things first, those fielding costs are painful. 1, 2, and 3, ouch. But possibly worth it for the impact he's going to have on the game, because he is giving all your active characters range 1 if they don't already have it. So he is basically Venerable Dreadnought back with a vengeance, but a Venerable Dreadnought that you can buy for a 3-cost if you're playing an Asker team, and a Venerable Dreadnought that has an extra bonus if you whiff the roll. I mean, come on. You can't say fairer than that. Also, he's a bit heavier statted at the top end with 3, 4, 7, I think. Is he? I've literally just had it on screen and forgotten the stats on Venerable Dreadnought. But, yeah. So, in your draft, you have got access to the Venerable Dreadnought game text. That is frightening, really, when you think about it. There's a character in a draft that can give all your characters range 1, but this guy is possibly going to have some opportunity and some value in the constructed meta, mass teams. People are playing mass teams till the cows come home right now with Asker in the mix, and this guy is going to bring that back with a vengeance. Get your Asker out turn 1. Buy your Asker turn 1, sorry. Do some other stuff in turn 2, whatever you fancy. Make sure you prep your Asker though. And then get your Asker out in turn 3 and buy yourself a Brainiac for 3. You know what I mean? Chuck something in to deal with fielding costs. There's plenty about. Lots of globals that you can use. I'm trying to remember what I put out there spoiler-wise. There's going to be some globals that you can use. And get him fielded, So awesome. Brainiac 5, Coluan Prodigy, an effective reprint of Venerable Dreadnought with some added value because it's a mass character and it's got the Energize, but with a little bit more pain in the fielding costs. I think that's really interesting, really exciting, and one that will certainly see play in draft and will open up some archetypes, some range archetype options in constructed. Yeah. Sorry, the thought that jumped into my head just as I said it there is that in modern, Black Widow's still legal. There's also a Mystique in the Dark Phoenix Saga set that carries the Black Widow game text that reduces character damage by 1. So I was just thinking about the kind of chess game that I think we're going to see when this comes out. When people start playing around with range, those two characters will creep back into teams. Then everyone will stop using range until they creep out of teams and people think that's control they don't need. And then range will come back and we'll just have this kind of back and forth like we saw with Venerable Dreadnought. But there we go, Brainiac 5. I think this is the last one now. It's Shazam. That's right. We mentioned Shazam when we talked about Mary Shazam on the podcast a couple of episodes back. Shazam, the wizard successor, 7-cost mask, Mystic and Justice League affiliation. While Shazam is active, your active characters have range 2. Oh my days, it's a Venerable Dreadnought turned up a little bit. Wow. 155 267 377. What is going on with fielding costs? I've noticed it in Dark Phoenix Saga. The fielding costs are painful, but they're even more painful in this set. So here you go, 7-cost mask. Again, here she is on the scene. Asuka will get that down to a 5. And then Mary Shazam, when she's fielded, can discount Shazam by a further 2. So in theory, you could be buying your Shazam super, super cheap. Although Mary Shazam is a 5-cost too. So what's the feasibility of that? Possibly not. I don't know. But you can certainly get it for a 5 with an Asuka out in the field. And he's giving all your characters range 2. So think about that, really. Just pause and think about that for a minute. Shazam and another character in the field has the capacity to deal 4 damage to another character dice. Now think about all the characters that you would have sitting in the field with 4 defense. Shazam and 2 other character dice, 2 sidekicks, when attacking, has the capacity to deal 6 damage to a character. 6 damage. Just pause for a minute and think about all the characters you have sitting in the field that have 6 or less defense. That is possibly devastating to your opponent's team. You know what I mean? I've not really thought it through. As I said, I promised this would be a first gut instinct reaction kind of vid, but the 7 cost and the fielding cost obviously weigh that down a bit, but there are ways and means of getting a Shazam a lot cheaper than 7. And there are ways and means of dealing with those fielding costs. So, yeah. There's something there. There's definitely something there. And, again, to return to the fact that this is a draft pack set, that's got a lot of potential in a draft build, especially if you've pulled an investigative journalism or a Daily Planet as your basic action. Just a nice bit of ramp to help you get up to that 7, and then drop him in the field, and then whatever you've got becomes even more threatening than it already is with its own game texts. Yeah, I've got my eye on this one. I feel like I'm going to be making some teams with him. Range 1. With Venerable Dreadnought, we saw what that could do. Now range 2, there's something there. Definitely something there. So yeah, really excited with that one. But your main challenge, of course, is going to be dealing with that big fielding cost and that big purchase cost. So Shazam, the wizard successor. So there we go, folks. That brings me to the end of my little ranges back intro for Superman Kryptonite Crisis. Is there more cards, more characters with more range stuff going on? Who knows? There could very well be. There might not be. That could be the extent of it. Who knows? But yeah, I hope you're as excited as I am to see range make its way into the superhero kind of themed context. I've said it many times in this video. I'll say it one more time. That is interesting because it's putting range into draft gameplay. Specifically designed for draft gameplay. I mean, you could draft your Warhammer 40,000 stuff, but this is specifically designed for draft gameplay. There's a range of rarities in there. There's a range of abilities, a range of costs. That was unintentional, but I'll take it. I'll take the pun. There is a variety of purchase cost, a variety of game text, a variety of range numbers in there that makes it really interesting as to what impact it will have on drafting. But there's some stuff in there as well for constructive players, and I think there might be some stuff that could be sort of a little bit competitive. So very interesting. So again, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What combos are leaping into your head? How do you feel about range coming back? Have you got any thoughts on the impact that it might have on draft gameplay and that kind of back and forth where everyone's got a bit of range going on their teams because you've all drafted range cards and stuff? And I don't know, I think that'd just be really engaging and interesting gameplay to have stuff going. Pow, 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 pow. What was I doing then? But I think that'll be really interesting. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I know at least 40% of you are that are watching my videos. And hopefully, if you've been one of those skip-throughers, you've seen this little bit at the end and you could at least find your way to giving me a like. So there we go. So I'll wrap that one up there. Thanks for watching, folks. I've been Chris, and I'll see you on the Ministry of Dice podcast over at BritRoller6.com or here on our YouTube channel sometime soon. See you later, folks.